All right. So a lot of you know a lot of things have happened in the last actually several weeks. And I want to go over kind of the new plan, kind of what we're up to with push button trading and the shift from being very dependent on funded accounts to being a little bit more independent related to funded accounts, and all the things that are changing and happening related to everything that's going on with funded accounts and U.S. based traders and not U.S. based traders. So I want to answer a couple questions. I know a lot of you guys have heard the news about funded accounts kind of going away when it comes to stocks. And the question is, well, how do I know what else to trade related to futures or options or indexes? So I'm going to do my best to answer that here today. There's a couple of questions that have come up. And what I want to just go over first is just to remind everyone that trading is a journey. And as much as we'd love to pay, 5, 10 grand for a master class, at the end of the day, there's a lot of learning and things that have to managing your emotions, a lot of things that you yourself would have to manage and maintain that really affect your success as a trader, including handling your emotions, which is not always the easiest thing to do if you're on a losing streak. But what I'm going to do real quick is go over some of the changes. Some of you guys are familiar with the push button trading, how it works. We have shifted from the previous MetaTrader 5 into NinjaTrader 8. And so we're kind of going through and working through the changes there. The bots are still coming online. The first one will be online here in about a week, 5 days, something like that. I had a little bit of delays, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of walk you guys through a little bit about what it is, how it works, and kind of walk you through the NinjaTrader 8 platform. So first thing is, as you guys all know, when you get into a trade, you need three things. And one of those is your entry price. And you need to know where to get into a trade, where to exit for a profit, where to exit for a loss. And one of the things that I've heard a lot is exactly how does this work? And what we do is we have a screenshot here of the actual push button trading. Myself, Tracy Ball, Nick Sherman, several of us have been playing with the new technology that's in beta. We're testing out a few things. We found a few little things that we're going to get resolved here in the next day or two, and we'll be ready to go for March classes. We'll talk more about those of you who've gone through the class previously, kind of how that will work for open invitations. But first, the thing I want to make sure everyone understands is that any type of a tool like this, you have to have some kind of manual strategy, right? Where you're clicking buttons, you're deciding if you're bullish, bearish. You have to understand a strategy, and that strategy, you execute the strategy and you click the buttons. And these buttons, what does it do exactly? Well, the add-on here, it works in NinjaTrader 8, previously MetaTrader 5. Now we had to rebuild everything for NinjaTrader 8. And how much to trade related to quantity, volume, entry price, stop loss, take profit. All these things are things that you would manually, if you were to use something like DXTrader or any kind of a web demo trader, you're gonna have to enter in all those things manually. And that's the beauty of what this does, is it kind of calculates all the things for you and enters the orders on your behalf. Now, as you guys all know, sometimes math, especially my 21-year-old, when she was in high school, she would say math is mental abuse towards humans, some mental abuse towards humans. And so I know sometimes it does seem kind of traumatic to have to calculate, and a lot of people feel like, oh, you got to be uber nerd or really good at math to learn to trade, and that's not necessarily the case. Obviously, if you understand math, that's not a negative, but you don't really need to have all of this stuff ready. You don't have to know everything there is to know about the formulas and all that. But at the end of the day, this tool that you apply to your charts and the push button technology is basically this tool, and these are toggle buttons. We'll show you some more in screenshots here in a second. But what exactly does it do? Well, it auto calculates your risk, your quantity, your entry, and your stop. Now, things like your risk, as most of you know, you have a predefined dollar amount. So risk would be like $1,000 for basically 1% of a $100,000 account. Obviously, if you got a smaller or bigger account, that number would be up or down. So this represents like 1%. You're defining what your risk is. And then the strategy, these buttons themselves will automatically calculate playing the most recent candle. So if this candle right here is currently live, it's going to play the next candle. It's going to play this candle, and you're going to do a bearish breakout, a bearish reversal, bullish breakout, bullish reversal. And so these buttons are what we kind of teach you how to use in the class. But at the end of the day, all the things related to quantity, entry, stop, all those types of things are very, very calculated. And that way you're guaranteeing that you have consistent risk. You're not risking $500 one time, 5,000 another time. It's consistent risk. And a lot of times what that does is that guarantees or ensures that when you exploit any kind of strategy over time, you're not taking huge losses and small wins, that you're kind of taking the same size bets, the same size trades every single time. And that's kind of what the buttons do. So just for example, if this was like Bitcoin, it will auto calculate actually, this isn't Bitcoin, but the screen is, but the math isn't. As you guys know, Bitcoin is currently more than $1,900. We can almost add like a 5 on the zero in the front of this, right? 51,000. But at the end of the day, the way that this works is it will look at the most recent version of the most recent candle, and it'll calculate what is the high and the low. It'll add a little bit of padding. It's a setting you can control, and it'll determine what the lines are. And so as you guys can see here, this is a screenshot, of course, but you can see that when you click these buttons in NinjaTrader8, and this is literally applied to a chart. We'll look at some more charts. In this case, we're looking at Bitcoin. We have a Tesla chart. We have the ES futures, March 2024 futures asset. And so in this case, you'll see a couple colored lines up here, and these are like preview buttons. So if you can imagine bright, let me go back, that kind of light blue line represents kind of your entry, like where you're going to get into the trade, right? And then this red line, of course, represents a stop. The green line represents your take profit. And so these lines are automatically calculated to put on here for you. And literally all you do is you click these buttons. We'll show you how to do all that, of course, in class. But you click these buttons, and what it does is it will auto calculate everything for you. And this is literally a preview. If you like the entry here, with the take profit here and a stop loss there, you literally just click the go button, and it'll actually take the order and throw it out into the broker for you. Now, in this case, when we're shifting from a funded account kind of dependency, we're dependent on funded accounts, to more of a little bit of an independent program like NinjaTrader8 supports a bunch of traditional brokers. Some of you guys aren't super huge fans of funded accounts. Some of you guys love funded accounts. It's kind of a love-hate relationship, but either way, it works with a whole bunch of funded account programs. We don't have our own yet. I'm super unhappy with what happened the last week or two related to DX Trader. Everything we've heard, and even my own experience, it's not amazing. So we're looking for other options related to funded account programs. But what I will tell you is that NinjaTrader8 works not only with traditional brokers like TD Ameritrade, like Interactive Brokers. Not only that, but they do work with about a dozen or more funded account options as well. So you guys can imagine there's, depending on what you want to trade, if you have to trade in a funded account, you have limited options, right? A lot of times it is futures. And that is a question that came up quite a bit is, hey, I learned how to trade stocks. So did I waste my time? And the answer is no, you did not. If you learn how to trade stocks, about 90% of that is portable and moves into trading futures. If you guys can look at any type of a stock chart, you'll be okay. Or any type of an asset chart, not just stocks, but whether it's forex or gold or futures or the NASDAQ or the ES or the E-minis, the micros, any of those assets, if you can read a chart and you understand what it's telling you, you can trade pretty much anything. And futures does have a little bit of special things that are a little bit different, but at the end of the day, it's 90% of what you learned relative to stocks will be portable, and you can take it into trading futures. Now, having said that, I do want to just make sure everyone understands that the funded account program that we have now, it's web-based. It doesn't support any technology, and welcome to my world where everything was going along fine until literally this time last week. Everything related to trading CFDs and Meta Quotes, the company behind NinjaTrader8. It's a Russian company, pretty much said, oh, we don't want any more US customers. And then they say, well, we don't want any customers. And they were trading CFDs. And so the entire think markets, whether US or non-US, everything eventually, even this week, the non-US residents got shifted from the NinjaTrader8 said, oh, we're not working with think markets anymore. And so we have to just make some decisions about what we want to do. Again, we apologize for all the last minute notice. We were given literally about 24 hours notice that this was happening. We insisted on doing a phone call. Myself, Tracy Ball, others were on that call just to understand the shift and what's the urgency and what's really happening here. And we were quite unhappy with the solution they gave us. And then they forced us to an environment that doesn't even run any of our technology. So you guys can imagine that was kind of a bizarre, unusual call to kind of have last minute. But at the end of the day, what I want to show you guys is a little bit more about how this works. Of course, NinjaTrader8, one of the things I heard is, hey, does it only work with futures? Does it work with stocks? Like, what exactly does it work with? And it actually works with a lot of things, not just futures. Now, you guys may recall when you first loaded NinjaTrader8, all your watch lists pretty much defaulted to forex, and you probably assumed, maybe incorrectly, maybe not, that this is forex only, right? NinjaTrader8 appears to only have a watch list relative and only trading forex, which is not true. Obviously, just like NinjaTrader8, just like NinjaTrader8, what you are trading is determined by your broker. So whatever broker you're connected to, whether it's TD Ameritrade, whether it's Interactive Brokers, whether it's a prop firm, whether it's a funded account, the broker themselves will determine what is or isn't tradable in the account. So what we'll do is we'll shift and I'll show you a couple more screenshots of what this looks like. And we're going to look at some more examples of what this looks like. In this case, you'll see this is a Tesla chart, Tesla on a 5-minute. Now, obviously, that is not futures. That's actual Tesla chart. And these are screenshots. We'll do a live demo here in just a second. So the asset you're trading is here. The time frame here, 5-minute, 15-minute, all that is here. You will have some specific tools that are up here for indicators. We'll go through all that in the live version. But just to kind of show you guys just a screenshot of some of this, obviously, if I was to look at something like Tesla, and you'll see my green line is up here, that is my take profit, right? The red line down here is my stop loss, and then that little blue is my kind of like the entry. And so what it's doing is it's playing the most recent closed candle. This was, I know you can't tell in a screenshot, but this candle was still wiggling around when I took the screenshot. So it's playing this candle and it's saying, hey, we're going to have a little bit of padding between the low of this candle. And we call it the stop loss padding a little bit. It's just a setting. We're going to calculate that. And we're going to use this as our 1R risk, and we're going to have a 1.2R profit taker. And so all these lines, you literally are just clicking these buttons. That's it. And it's literally just you have bullish breakout, and it shows the preview lines here for you. You click go, and you'll hear order submitted, like an audible version that says order submitted. I haven't figured out how to turn that off, but that's kind of how that works. So the other thing that happens here is if we were to look at something like the futures contract for ES for March 2024, same exact thing. But in this case, we're looking at it on a 15-minute chart. Again, what I'm trying to demonstrate here is you guys can see it trades multiple things. It's not futures only. Just when you first load it, usually it does show futures, but depending on the broker you're using, I myself actually have my own TD Ameritrade account connected. So I can trade all kinds of things, not just futures. I can trade options. I can trade all kinds of things, right? And so in this case, we're looking at is the ES March 2024 contract. So 15-minute time frame. So the next one we're going to look at is Bitcoin. Same exact rules. You'll see on a 60-minute chart. We kind of disguised it and called it 60 minutes, but it's actually same thing as an hour, right? So 60 minutes, and we're looking at Bitcoin, you'll see the push button technology here, some of the settings that are kind of embedded there. It does automatically include that 10 EMA on the chart. And then you'll see here that we are looking at NinjaTrader. Here's the actual buttons. And so these buttons are actual act like toggles. The toggles are bullish, bearish, reversal, and breakout. So 4 different kind of possible things that when you click those buttons, the lines on your chart literally change and shift, giving you a preview of what you want, right? If you click the right buttons and you're ready to go, you just click the go button and the order is submitted. And so really kind of what we're trying to do here is a lot of you guys are looking for a specific use case. And this is the use case that kind of came up when we were talking about all this late last year was, is it possible to take a funded account and grow it 10% in 2 weeks or less? Yes or no? And myself, I know Michael, there's a few people who've done this in 2 weeks or less, grown it that 10%, got it unlocked without hitting the 6% maximum drawdown. And really what I want to do is just kind of explain that most of your use cases, most of you, what you're trying to accomplish is you're using funded accounts as like an on-ramp to seeing. I know Harold, we have had lots of conversations the last couple of weeks. A lot of you use the funded accounts as like an on-ramp, or maybe we'll call it proof of concept, that you can become a funded trader, real-time, full-time trader. And so using technology to help you unlock that is kind of what most of you are looking to do. Or sometimes you're like, I don't really need the funded account. Well, in that case, guess what? You can set up Interactive Brokers, your own traditional brokerage account, and use the push button simulator to help you with the order entry, right? Some of you who need the funded account option, you are a little bit less limited now than you were maybe 2 weeks ago when stocks and lots of things were offered in a funded account. They've kind of tightened the restrictions on that. So again, 90% of what you learned relative to trading stocks is portable into futures. And this is what Lauren told us back in January when we first did this class, is it streamlines all the fumble and bumble of inputting an order, and that's half the battle. So any questions? Who wants to see a live demo of NinjaTrader 8? I think Greg does. All right, so part of why I want to show you guys a live demo, let me go ahead and get my screen share going, is I don't want you guys to think that we're just showing you some screenshots of this is all just images on overlaid on MetaTrader 8, because that is not the case. Obviously, that would be way cheaper. It wouldn't work, but that's a software business. We used to call that vaporware, like not real. So let's see if I can get a screen share going here on my NinjaTrader 8. Sec. Where did my button go? Okay, here we go. Let's see. You guys should be able to see it, correct? Let's see. Let me see the chat. Okay, so there's really 2 windows that come through with NinjaTrader. One is the first thing you need to look at is your connections. You'll see I do have my TD Ameritrade account connected, so I'm getting data feeds through TD Ameritrade. I did set up some stuff in NinjaTrader prior to this call. If we wanted to set up, like, how do I set up a new chart? You can go into new and then chart. They're pretty simple to do. And in this case, I can say I want to trade, let's do AMD. All right, so AMD, the stock, I'm gonna go ahead and double click on that. And it's showing me a 15-minute stock. I click OK, boom, here's my AMD chart. Now, there's lots of options and configurations, lots of things you can do relative to the stock, to the chart itself. But let me just walk through a few things real quick. One is, if I was to add an indicator, like there's tons of indicators that are built in here. When you install the push button bot, it does add the EMA. So that's here. So there we go, EMA. I'm just going to add it manually so you guys can see how easy it is to do this. We'll say we're going to add the 10 EMA. We're going to go back 256 bars. And let's make this, let's not make it mustard color. Let's make it, greenish. So we're going to click goldenrod. We're going to say green. Boom. Solid line based on the close. And we're going to say, okay. And boom, that's really all it takes. Now, just like most charting tools, you're able to get the zoom tool. You can draw a box around it and kind of zoom in a bit. Now, those of you who've taken our class related to indecision candles, you'll see some indecision quite a bit in here on this chart that you could have played easily. Those of you who've taken the hammer candle strategy, you'll see a few of those as well. And so literally that's kind of the charting in and of itself. Now, how do you add like the technology to the chart? That's a little different. So what we would do is we go up here to push button 1.9. I'm going to double click it. It's going to configure it here. And what you'll see here on the right are these are actual the custom settings related to this bot itself, right? So things like, what is my risk? Well, my risk is $1,000 in this account. Now that's, you easily just double click it, change it to more or less depending on your account size. Your maximum lot size, obviously that depends based on what you're trading. If you have a limit in a prop firm, you would set it to 1,000. Obviously, depending on how much risk you're using, you may have more or less, so that's a configurable setting. Things like your profit taker, this is relative to your risk. So this is 1.2R, 1.2 times your risk. So in this case, that'd be $1,200 for a win. Your stop loss padding is like the difference on that candle between kind of the high or the low. And so if this is the low of your candle, we're going to have a little bit of padding. So we're not going to put the exact stop right there. We're going to have this little wiggle room, this padding. And that's a calculated 0.02 times, let's say, a $200 Tesla stock price. So you guys can see how that kind of adds up there. The other thing is that we do try to give you the option to auto close. So for those of you who like day trading, it does require you to just traditional day trading. You do have the ability to auto close your trades at the end of the day. So in this case, you're defining what the end of day is relative to your broker's time. If you have a broker in Australia, that's going to be a different time than if you have one in Texas, right? It's all going to be a variable and number you guys can easily control and change. Now, I did intentionally kind of skip over this cancel after. Some of you guys have used this quite a bit. And so canceling after 5 candles, meaning if your order is not filled after 5 candles, boom, then guess what? It's going to auto cancel the order. So I'm going to click enabled. I'm going to apply it on my chart, click OK, boom, there we go. Now I do have that let me turn this off real quick. My other indicator. See. Let's cancel both of these. And let's change the color of this to. So you guys can see the buttons that are here on the chart. And you'll see when I click the buttons, the actual colors change, bearish, bullish. And what we're looking at is a preview of the technology, how it actually works. And just that, let me adjust this real quick, just so you guys can see. Let's shift over to maybe a 15-minute chart. Oh, yeah, let's go back to 5 real quick. And just so you guys can see, when I do click these buttons, the lines are based on, actually my resolution got a little bit changed. Let's go back. Well, when I change my chart, it's weird. The lines and the candlesticks aren't changing. Look at that. That's funky. Well, I guess we'll have to figure out why. Why is it fixed? My moving averages change, but my stock chart doesn't. That's interesting. I'll have to look that up. But that's something related to the chart settings. But regardless, the way that these buttons work is you can see the lines where we're entering, where the entry is, where the stop loss is, and where the take profit is. And so in this case, we're able to shift these lines. And in this case, a bullish breakout, bearish breakout, all those are very specific to the strategies that we teach. Any questions so far? Go ahead and throw them in the chat. I got a few more things to talk about. There are also, let's take a look at, let's throw an order out.
Order submitted.
There we go, order submitted. So what I can do now is I can go into my control center. There we go.
Not.
map,
Yes.
just so you know that it's because your settings are set to overlay instead of write. So
In the properties.
yeah. So if you change that to not in the properties, go to your indicators and so select that EMA and then put that arrow down.
I've seen it before. I don't remember which screen it was on, but it's okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So the control center here is where you'll see the actual order was actually sent out. In this case, the math behind my stop and the quantity of shares, 790 shares, 0 have been filled yet, right? In my entry where I'm getting in, where I'm getting out, all the like math behind that is all kind of calculated and figured out here. Now in this case, I am connected to my TD Ameritrade account, but I am using my sim account. So like my sim 101 account. So I don't have to worry about Matt showing this off and he accidentally put a real order in his real account. In this case, you guys can see kind of how that works. Just like everything else, I'm able
Order
to
canceled.
cancel if I want as well. And so that's kind of the high level of how this works based on the so entry price. Yep. So it let's see. Are you talking about on this screen, John, or on here? Are you asking where is the entry price calculated? And I'm still learning this platform myself. We did, I think we've done a pretty crazy job, pretty amazing job trying to get some of this up and running and turned around pretty in a, kind of a week kind of time frame so far. Oh, where is it shown? That's a good question. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at, I'll have to pull the manual up on this to see what are all the properties related to. I think what he's saying is on where's the price shown on the on here. So
Click strategies though. You click the bottom tab instead of orders, go to strategies. You're going to see entry price and all that will be showing up in here.
Yeah.
When you have a position open.
Okay, got it. Okay. Do you have to use a plugin to use another broker? I have TradeStation as my broker. That's a good question. I'm not quite sure. So it's a great question. Can you move the entry after you submit? Yes and no. Just like I guess we have to test that exact scenario, Peter. But the being able to like shift the specific order once the order has been placed. You can click the button again and get the, kind of, if it hasn't been filled, obviously you can't, once you're filled, you can't change the entry. Yeah, but you are able to click the button again and get a new order relative to the newest candle that's come in. At this point, you guys know that the stock market is closed. And so, yeah. If I have a paper trading account and a broker like IBKR, can I connect that paper trading to NT8 for practice? I believe so, Julie. Yes. There's some specific connections that you can set up here where you're setting up and configuring the different brokers or data feeds that you have. So you're able to do that here. In this case, I have my TD Ameritrade account. I do have a simulated account that I switched over on my other laptop that I can play with as well. But yep. I don't know about how many orders can you do at the same time. I think it's going to be based on your buying power. So just like inside of inside a funded account program, you do have like a maximum number of contracts or like a max lot size. If you're using your traditional buying power, I assume, I haven't tested that exact scenario, but I assume if you're trying to use more than the buying power you have, it'll decline the order, I believe, but you would just reduce your risk a little bit and try it again. Yeah. What other questions do you guys have? Let's see me scroll up. The old fund accounts are being forced to DX Trader. That is the only option. Yes, that is correct. Unfortunately, let's see. Charles Schwab connected NinjaTrader, which my TV. I don't know, Kyle. That's a great question. I have about half my accounts are on Schwab already. Half of them are still in TD Ameritrade. I've been told that in the next like 30 days, all my accounts are moving. So some of the connections will shift a little bit, obviously. For those of you who don't know, TD Ameritrade was purchased by Schwab, I think in COVID, somewhere in that time frame. Yeah. Yep. And again, if you are dependent on if you're dependent on using a funded account, I don't know of anything that works in NinjaTrader that allows funded accounts for stocks. Most funded account / prop firm groups, including ours, including the real life trading, we all use kind of the same provider. You're technically trading CFDs, and we have a quite lengthy legal opinion on the way it was set up was okay legally, the way it was structured. However, we didn't anticipate the most popular platform in the world, MetaTrader 5, kind of souring on US customers, whether that was for political reasons or whether that was, US regulators kind of pressuring them. I guess it doesn't make a difference. And so the ability to trade stocks in a funded account program is kind of, it's not a push button trading thing. That's across the board. I haven't found anything that works for US customers related to that. There's one exception. It's an interesting, I haven't explored it, but it doesn't work with NinjaTrader8. So any technology we build wouldn't work with that anyways. So we're trying to find some other funded account programs that we'll be able to offer as well. So yep, let me get caught up on my questions. You guys have some more questions, throw it in there. And we'll go through that. The one of the big things I think is shifting from a funded account to something like a traditional broker is a lot of times you do have to pay a few dollars. It's not much, somewhere between I think $12 or $20 a month for data feeds. So imagine using like a paper trading account with Interactive Brokers, and you're paying $15 a month for stock data or futures data. I pay $12 a month to NinjaTrader for futures data because I don't have that enabled in my TD Ameritrade account. So, yeah. All right, let's see. Is it better to download a desktop version of the web? It has to be desktop version. Yeah. Is the one I'm looking at web-based? No, this is actually downloadable. You guys can see in the bottom of my here in my toolbar, you'll see that I do have it's running like an app on my computer, on my desktop computer. In this case, we're talking about my laptop, but the current demo is NinjaTrader8. Yep. Let's see. Other than Team Ameritrade, what brokers? Yep, Interactive Brokers and Team Ameritrade. I haven't looked at the full list to know what other brokers they support. You can use NinjaTrader directly for futures. I know Harold and others have there's a spreadsheet floating around that has what are the other prop firms that work with NinjaTrader. Some of those, or kind of what are the other options if you do have to have a funded account. You are a little bit more limited on what you can trade, but there are quite a few of them. Lots of prop firms out there. Yeah. Just to be clear, the difference is if you have a funded account with real life trading or push button trading, they did force everyone to DXTrader. There was like no choice. There's urgent, lots of craziness happening. And we were quite unhappy with, pushing all of our customers to a choice or a web-based tool that doesn't support any automation. And that's kind of one of the things we're trying to differentiate ourselves with the technology behind trading and trying to make this easier for folks to learn how to trade. Yep. What other questions you guys have? So StockDog, there are recommendations. Harold or someone, there's a spreadsheet floating around somewhere. Harold, if you have that link, you can throw it in the group chat here. But there's a list of several things like Top Step is one. They're futures only, and most of them, just like most funded account programs, you have to grow your account a certain amount, and then the money becomes real, and you do some kind of a split. Some of them have a one-time fee. Some of them are monthly fees. They're all a little bit different. Again, we don't have our own yet that we like that works with NinjaTrader8. I do have 2 or 3 conversations with groups lined up later, like mid next week to later next week, to set that up. So yeah, there you go. In the chat, if you guys can look, Harold does have a spreadsheet, kind of a favorites list Let's take a look at that of what you can trade here. So Lilu trading, I think some of you guys have pointed that out with all the different rules. I did sign up for it's like Blue Sky, but it's without the E, Blue Ski. I paid $99 for that account. I don't know exactly. I haven't got that connected just yet, but I did sign up for that just for 99 bucks to see how other prop firms that work. TopStep is very, very popular. I've actually met the founder of that. They're based in Chicago. So a lot of these companies trade a little bit differently. All of them do trade futures, of course. So all that, again, if you do have to have a funded account, you are kind of limited on your choices for what you can trade, but don't worry. Tracy Balls actually has a class coming out here in it's like a couple weeks, and it will be a premium class for those of you in the free or the basic version. It'll be 150 bucks to go through the class. I have seen it's got what 72 slides, I think, Tracy. So those of you who are nervous about, oh my gosh, I don't know anything about futures, don't worry. We have some training where we're kind of putting together all this stuff of just like us, just like you guys. It's kind of thrown on us all last minute. We aren't happy about it, but we're trying to make the best of it so you guys have a place to land once all the dust settles. Yeah. What other questions you guys have for me? Boom, boom. So the other thing is anyone who's gone through the push button trading in January or February, that's really all that we've had for the actual push button classes. Anyone who's gone through that trading, you'll be able to do it again. Kind of go through it. Obviously, we don't want anyone to feel disconnected and isolated. The bots themselves, we don't have the first one available just yet, so we don't have exact dates on that. I am told that it will be about 5 days from now, so maybe mid next week we'll have the first version. As you guys know, there's a process. You don't just get it and put it in front of customers. You have to test it, kind of poke holes on it. You know, there's a process that we go through, and special thanks to those of you who've reached out to assist us with testing this. This is a lot of work, a lot of spending some big bucks getting this stuff retooled from scratch. Again, as you guys know, mid-November, the funded account program with a former company I used to work with went from ACAP to Think Markets, and we spent big bucks trying to get those retooled. Here we are again, having to just build everything from scratch yet again. And so there's some pretty sizable dollars being allocated for this project, and the urgent nature of it in and of itself, you're paying kind of above market rates to get these things retooled. Myself, I don't know, I've never built anything in in 8 NinjaTrader8. So I have to hire out this, and we do have a pretty good process building this and the technology team that we've put together. So yeah, that's it. Mike, I don't have dates for the new bots, except to say that we're going to be, the plan right now is we'll have the first one available mid next week. So about this time next week. It'll take us a few days to test it, go back and forth. And then we're going to be relaunching one new bot about every 7 to 10 days, somewhere in there, give or take. That's the idea. That would be our process for that. But yeah, the orb is the first one, Peter. That'll be the first one we're doing, and then we're going to roll the snapback in kind of the order that we typically hand them out in class. So yeah, great questions. I will tell you though, as far as if anyone is interested, we do have some slots available. Some slots available here for anyone who wants to sign up for the March class. We do have a bunch of people going through it for free, which is fine. We do limit our classes to about 15 people. If anyone wants to do that, this is again not for the bots because we don't have those finished yet. This is just the push button, kind of those semi-automated buttons that you apply as an add-on inside of NinjaTrader8. If any of you guys are interested in signing up for that, that's what we have here. You'll need to be added to March. Yes, ma'am. My pleasure. Awesome. Any other questions? Let me see. I will be able to manually trade our assessment accounts on NinjaTrader8. Manually trade our assessment accounts. So if you're asking, Erica, if you're asking about like the Think Markets account, those only work on DX Trader. And that's kind of why we're so unhappy. They kind of put us in an environment where our technology can't even work. So it's kind of like the left and the right hand got disconnected, so to speak. They're not functioning together. And so we are shopping for another provider that does work with NinjaTrader8. The current one does not. So short answer is the current assessments you guys have, the assessment accounts. If they're 2 weeks or less, you haven't blown them up. We do have a process. If anyone is interested in requesting, I think 6 or 8 people have already asked for a refund for the funded account. As you guys know, the money and the refunds are handled by the prop firm partner that we have. We don't make very much. We don't make pennies on the dollar. So we don't. So all that to say, Eric, was that you can manually trade it in the assessment account, but it doesn't connect to NinjaTrader8. That's kind of the disconnect that we were very unhappy about. Yep. How many bots are we going to be ready for a March class? So we're going to start with 1 or 2 in the first week or 2. The first class is always getting NinjaTrader installed. That's always the technology installed. We will have, again, because we're releasing every 7 to 10 days, we feel pretty good. We'll know a little bit more, and if I guess Monday, Tuesday, about the timing of it. As you guys know, working with technology people, they don't always deliver on what they say, timelines, project deadlines. So we're trying to just, be flexible and realize that everyone's, it probably feels like, like your airplane kind of circling the runways, waiting to land and continue. And I certainly understand that. That's why there's an urgent nature for us to deliver this. But at the same time, we don't want to give you guys stuff that's full of problems either. So we're trying to balance that out and do the best we can. Yeah. So I guess one other question, are they actually giving refunds on fund accounts? So Mike, what they told us was that they'll have to go step by step. Obviously, if you're like $2 away from blowing up in a funding account, that's probably going to be a no. These aren't decisions we make. We can collect information they asked us for. So your name, your account number, pass it off to them. I do have like somewhere in the 6 or 8 tickets that are open from like Tuesday, Wednesday, and today, last 2 or 3 days. So it's not like they give you a refund as much as we request to be considered for a refund. Again, this is outside our control. We're trying to do the right thing by all of our customers, right? In this case, as far as the bots so what we're trying to do with the push button, I'm sorry, the kind of everything we talked about thus far is really related to push button trading and the semi-automated technology there. Now, those of you who are with a former company that I'm still an owner of, but not actually part of anymore, we won't say the name. Those of you who went through the class, we're trying to figure out the easy way to do this. We did spend 5 figures building all the technology for NinjaTrader. I'm sorry, from 8cap to Think Markets, and we're having to spend even bigger bucks for this. So I feel like it's kind of like everyone's kind of stuck in this kind of no man's land. It's not your fault. It's not our fault. It is what it is. So we're trying to do the right thing. And what I recommended, we had 6 or 8 people kind of kicking the idea around, was for anyone who had the previous bots, as they become available, we'll have some videos on how to use them, how to install them, some pre-made videos that we'll kind of offer and facilitate through our premium meaning $150 a month support channels. That's kind of the, we are spending big bucks to retool all this. I know it's not your fault. It's not our fault either. It's just where we are. And I feel like that's kind of a little bit of a balance between, I realize if you, some of you guys thought the technology is going to work forever, and we did too, but a lot of things have shifted in the last couple of weeks, including brokers changing, technology being outdated, all kinds of things that, we're all trying to make the right decisions and do right by everyone. So, yep, I don't know if that answers your question. Mike, yep. Cool. Any other questions for me, team? Radio silence. So anyone who's interested, you can go to the push button, the new website, the pushbuttontrading.com, if you want to sign up for the March classes here. We will know more. Those of you who are signed up for the March classes, we'll know a little bit more early next week. We'll do our best to keep in touch with you guys on that, related to the signups for we might be a little bit delayed. I feel confident we'll definitely have a March class. Whether we might have to add, we'll be delayed by the first date or not. That's going to be up to the technology team. So March 5th is kind of our first day there. So, yep. Let's see. Seeing a lot of thank you. Yeah, my pleasure, team. Back testing. Yep, exactly. Yep. That's part of the challenge is shifting. Like the back tests, of course, will work for the new bots. The reports and all that are going to look very, very different than what you're used to related to MetaTrader 5. So, yeah, exactly. Any other questions, team? Will the new assessment accounts be available trading on a new platform? Eric, we have not made a decision on which partner we're going to go with. The only thing we have that's out there right now is the only funded account program we have is the one that's like DXTrader, which is it's not great. So it's the web-based tool. That's kind of what shifted, and we're looking. It'll probably be 30 days, maybe 60 days before we have our own funded account program. But meanwhile, you guys are welcome in this spreadsheet that Harold sent the link out. You're welcome to, to kind of find your own that work with NinjaTrader8 for, as a stopgap kind of temporary in between measure. You're able to do that now. Yep. And I know, team, this like I didn't ask for it, you didn't ask for it, but we're here trying to do the right thing, trying to sift and sort through this. Literally this time last week, everything was getting literally rearranged and tossed on its head. I had plans to go out of town. We put a technology team in place. A few of those guys kind of didn't work out. So we were a little bit behind schedule by a few days, not a lot. So we got a team who were building the technology. We got a team of people who are testing the technology. Myself, Tracy, RT3, like we're all doing our best to make the best of a not great situation and do our best to take care of everyone. So yeah, that's what I have. Still wondering about ACAP. Was your question about that? I think so I saw about ACAP. Do I need to change anything with it? I'm not sure. The former company you bought it with, I guess you'd have to ask them. Our push button trading accounts, we started with Think Markets. We didn't have the ACAP option, so I'm not quite sure. I believe they got shifted to DXTrader, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, great question. So RT3 is saying ACAP's DXTrader only. Yeah, that's what I thought. But we didn't push button trading. Our company didn't have ACAP funded accounts, so all we had was Think Markets. So yeah. And I realized like some of you guys who had an account, maybe let's say back October or earlier, you went from an ACAP to a Think Markets to a DXTrader. Like lots of stuff shifted and changed just in the last few months. And I realized it's not ideal. And we can find someone to blame or point the finger at. Unfortunately, we're all kind of in this together trying to sift and sort through the craziness. Luckily, you have myself, Tracy Ball, RT3. We're jumping in, trying to provide good guidance and leadership for you all on like next steps so that you're not, on the fence with what do I do? What's next? We're doing our best to kind of build the timeline out for everyone. So everyone's on board with the changes that are happening and the new technology that we're all learning at the same time. So, yeah. Yeah, my pleasure. Julie, you had the same thing. You had ACAP to Think Markets to DXTrader. Yeah. And who knows, like we're not happy about all this. So we're going to be shifting probably away from the current funded account provider. So whatever tricks they have up their sleeve, we're going to try to sidestep the whole thing and have a totally different alternative. So, yeah, we are shopping around. Premium members able to get push button class free in March or only if you took it before. The push button class, we only taught it in January and February. That's the only two. And then like I would say 3/4 of the way through the February class, all these changes came and we had to pause the timing to get everything retooled. I'm not sure if that's what you're asking. So all I'm saying is there's not January and February are the only times we've taught push button trading. Before that was just the bots. Yeah. Will there be recordings for lots of recordings, Eric? Which specific recordings are you talking about? Like this conversation? Is that what you're asking about? Otherwise, that's what I have for y'all. Any final thoughts, questions? Spend training class. Of course, yes, they'll be recorded. Yep. So those of you who are in the January and February class, I know myself, Tracy Ball, we'll be reaching out to those of you in our little small groups for that to get you on the calendar for March. If March doesn't work, we'll get you on the calendar for April, trying to not go over our 15-person limit. That's a education standard we're trying to maintain, or we are going to maintain. So if you got 27 people who want to go through a class that is a maximum of 15, we're either going to have 2 classes that we're each teaching in March, or some of you guys have already said you have travel and stuff in March and April's a better time. That's fine. We'll work out that with each of you. Yep. Yep. Yeah, so the recordings are typically for people in the class. We don't I never really liked the idea of taking a recording with a handful of people who are kind of talking in a group and trying to sell those or distribute that to hundreds of people. I never really liked that. As you all know, in a small group, sometimes you say things in a group of 4 or 5, not expecting it to go to hundreds or thousands of people. So I don't really like to have a small group and just share with everyone. Sometimes you tell stories about things that happen in your trading journey that you don't necessarily want hundreds of people to hear. So we do kind of keep that personal. Recordings are for the people in the class. It's not distributed to anyone outside the class. So, yep. Final questions? Any other thoughts? Let's see, Jack, is this making sense? Jason, Jeff, Jeremy, Judy. Kyle Bennett's in the house. Michael Holt's in the house. Peter, Phil. Yep. Awesome. All right, team. Well, that's what I have for you. Reach out if you have any questions. And those of you who were in the push button January and February class, I will be sending you all messages myself and the classes that I led to try to get you on the board for March, or if March doesn't work, we'll get you on the board for April at no cost. So, of course. Yep. All right, team. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk soon. Thanks.